Congratulations, Soha.
Thank you.
For the baby and the book. Life
Yes.
must be very exciting.
Yes, and both of them were unplanned. So the book happened first, of course, and then the baby while I was writing the book. And for 3 months, I could really not concentrate on writing.
Yeah.
I think I was writing a chapter on travel, and all I could think about was, oh God, I'm going to have a baby, and it's going to be so exciting, and let's plan the nursery, and I was breaking the news to everyone. And then I decided I might as well write a chapter on pregnancy,
Yeah.
since I was thinking so much about it. So both unplanned, book and baby.
Mm-hmm. I was going through the book, extremely interesting.
Thank you.
One of the things that got me very curious was that you started off in a corporate life,
Yes.
at a bank,
Yes.
which didn't sort of do much for your mojo.
Yeah.
So when did you discover this creative side to you to branch off into movies and then now books?
I always enjoyed doing theatre when I was in school, and I did a lot of theatre, and I liked acting. I just thought that maybe acting in movies in India, in Hindi movies, was not for me and not for my personality.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I didn't watch a lot of Hindi movies growing up, so it never seemed like a realistic proposition. And it was only after moving to Mumbai with the job with Citibank was I sort of exposed to the Hindi film industry, and it's very, very seductive.
Mm-hmm.
I think anybody, you go to the gym, you go to the mall, every second person wants to try acting.
Yes.
Because it's great fun. It's a magical profession. Of course, it comes with a lot of perks and fame and glamour and money and all of that if you make it. But even then, it's fun to sort of memorialize yourself on screen, be a part of a movie. So I thought, let me do one movie.
Yes.
And let's see how that goes. Of course, the movie that I was supposed to do never happened,
Right.
which was an Amol Palekar film. But I ended up doing a Bengali film, which I really enjoyed. And literally from then, I've been taking it a movie at a time. And it's been 12 years or 13 years. And I still see, I don't know how long it's going to last. I'll do one more movie and I'll see how it goes.
Your parents were disappointed when you decided to change tracks.
Yes.
In terms of your profession.
Yes.
Now, after a significant career in movies with many films and a book which is, I believe, already best-selling, it's on the bestsellers list.
Yes, on Amazon.
On Amazon.
I think they keep changing the rankings, but when I woke up this morning, it was #1.
Yes.
And it beaten Dan Brown. Apparently, he's very difficult to dislodge. So I don't know how long it'll last.
Okay.
But, the more people keep buying it, I think it'll do well. So keep buying my book.
So do you feel you've redeemed yourself now?
I feel that this is a different skill, of course.
Yes.
And, I was excited. I had my whole family at the launch on the 12th. We had a lovely launch for the book. And everyone was there. And I think my mother was more excited about this book being launched than any other film premiere she's come to of mine. So she's always felt that my skills as a writer or as, a reader, and the ability to read vast amounts of material and collate and, do research and things like that have been strong. The fact that I wanted to be an actor was something that took everyone by surprise because I didn't share it with anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And so, of course, they were a little nonplussed by that. They didn't know how to react. As all parents are, they're protective of their children, especially perhaps their daughters. And they wanted me to be in a secure profession, one that was best tapping my skills, one that had, a longer shelf life than that of a female actor, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that's why they were a little concerned for me.
Yep.
My brother, of course, was very nervous because it was while I was living with him in his
Right.
house that I took this career, life-changing decision. And he said, oh God, they're going to blame me and, the influence that I have on you. So I had to convince them that it had nothing to do with him.
What are the perils of being an aristocrat, being from an aristocratic family in a modern democracy?
I think, perils is a word that I love just because I love the way it sounds, but
Yes.
it is, of course, a heavy word. There are challenging things about being from a Nawab family. And I think one of the things is that people have lots of preconceptions about what it means. Of course, since 1971, when privy purses were abolished and titles were abolished, I refer to it in the book. I say that my brother was actually born a prince because he was born in 1970. I was not born a princess, even though it's a title that sometimes people refer to me as Nawabzadi. It doesn't exist, and I'm well aware of that.
Yes.
And I'm well aware that we're all equal under the Constitution. But I feel that sometimes there's certain preconceptions when people feel that if you're from a royal family, you're a flush with wealth, which is not true. You may have lots of illiquid assets or some land or a piece of property that you have to look after that you're so emotionally attached to that you could never imagine selling, but you have to spend quite a lot of money maintaining it, for
Yes.
example. all of us now, if you look at my brother, my sister and myself, we have our own unrelated professions. They're not related to inheritance or things like that. We're living on our own hard-earned money to the extent that we can. So we, we're separate to that.
Yes.
But there is a lineage that, I'm aware of, and as a history student also one that I enjoy being a part of, whether it's Pataudi or Bhopal or Tagore, things like that. But I understand that life is very different now. And perhaps my father saw the most amount of change, because from being born in 1941
yes.
to when he passed away, in 2011, his life changed dramatically from being
yes.
the Nawab of Pataudi and Bhopal to being Mr. Mansoor Ali Khan. So he really saw more change than any of us.
You also bring this up a lot about earning your keep,
yes.
And the entrepreneur in you, which came to the fore very early in life.
Yes.
Where did that thought come from?
I don't know. I think we were given an allowance, of course, when we were young, and we were given freedom and responsibility at the same time. So, for example, we were allowed to have one soft drink or two soft drinks when we were a little bit older in the week, and we could choose to have both of them at the same time in the same moment, or you could stretch them out over the week.
Okay.
That was up to us. I of course would have them at one go, and my sister would stretch them out. The same was with sweets and desserts, and also with money we were given a certain allowance every month, and you could spend that all at one go, or you could choose to invest it. For example, when I was given 500 rupees as ED once, my father said, instead of spending it all, why don't you give it to me? And I will give you 50 rupees every August.
Okay.
And I thought that's an interesting idea. So he was my first bank.
Okay.
And he continued to give me 50 rupees right up until he passed away. So it was like our little tradition. And I would every August take 50 rupees from him. And I thought that was lovely to understand the value of money.
Yes.
So it certainly came from both. My mother, of course, had a more quote-unquote middle-class upbringing. But certainly, even though people don't expect it of my father, him being a Nawab, he was very, very conscious of the value of money.
The legacy that you carry forward, very impressive from both your father and your mother. Your father being, eminent cricketer, former captain of India and a Nawab, and your mother being, a leading superstar from Hindi movies. So what is the legacy what is the value actually that you have imbibed from them?
I think one of the things that I've imbibed from them is certainly a lot of security. I believe that when you're born into a family, of course, it's just fortuitous. You have no control over that. And I was very lucky to have been born into this family. One of the things I think the family really respect, even though my mother never completed her college education, and my father, if you asked him what did he study at college, he would say cricket in jest, but it was true. He spent most of his time playing cricket. Yet both of them really prized a good education and made sure that all three of us, really went to good colleges and had a sort of secure educational background before we started off our respective careers. So that, I think, is something from my grandmother's time that has been important to our family. And legacy, I think, especially now when you look at modern India and how much it's changed, I think it's nice to belong to a family that has a history and that has a past. And when I wrote this book also, I dedicated it to Inaya, even though I didn't know that she was going to exist, at the time of this book being published. But I wanted her to know a little bit more about that, because we at least grew up in Delhi and had experiences of growing up in Pataudi and seeing a little bit of that lifestyle. Now it's more or less completely evaporating. So at least I wanted to read about it a little bit.
Yeah. Is the life of a film star, or a celebrity for that matter, similar to that of royalty?
Well, they say now, there was a time in my mother's time when, female actors were not role models. It was still frowned upon to be an actor, and, girls from good families were not encouraged to join the films. Your role models in her time were people like Princess Aisha, members of the royal family were, your icons. And today you have people like Priyanka Chopra and Deepika Padukone, so many examples, Kangana Ranaut, who are strong women who people look up to, and they are your role models now. So I think that's a wonderful change that's come in. And certainly, given the lifestyle, given, not only the amount of money you earn, the wonderful designer clothes that you're wearing, the interest of the media, I would say that, Bollywood now is certainly the new royalty.
Any incident from your life that, which has paralleled your royal experience and your experience as a celebrity?
I would say that, I've had, that's why I call this book The Perils of Being Moderately Famous, because I've grown up seeing a lot of fame and it being quite a natural thing for people to take pictures and ask for autographs of other family members. And I think now, being a part of this profession, I've understood that, there's certain rankings, like I kept saying, there's a national newspaper that comes up with a ranking of fame every month, which makes no sense sometimes. And, you can be doing something like getting married and suddenly you're more popular, or having a baby and suddenly you're more popular. And I've seen my ranking improve as a result of these personal choices. And of course, sometimes films. And then being at 49 and then, not being in the table as well. There's been a lot of reflected glory in my life and reflected fame, which I've grown to embrace as well, instead of fighting, as well as my own place in the sun, which I think people have now appreciated as, I'm carving out my own identity, which is very separate from that of my brothers, for example. So my journey, I think, has been somewhat different. In terms of like being recognized, because, to refer to your question, one is recognized in the street, of course, whether it's for being an actor or being a celebrity or being a member of the royal family, whatever. But it's more like I see someone recognize me and then I can hear whisperings, and more than Soha Ali Khan, I'm hearing sort of Saif Ali Khan or Kareena Kapoor. So you also know that there is an identity that is, part of a family that is larger than you. And again, I choose to embrace that, and I choose to laugh at it as much as possible.
You have a rather exceptional family.
Yes.
And every member has their own unique identity.
Yeah.
If they were to write, who do you think would be like, possibly another person who could write a bestseller?
There's a bestseller in each of them, And there's so much. Now the newest celebrity on the block is, of course, Taimur.
Yes.
And he's upstaging everyone in the family. But my mother certainly, because, of course, she has had from, the immediate family the longest life. And being in her mid-70s now, she has a lot to share. And she's really had a fantastic story, not only in terms of her profession, but in terms of her public responsibilities, in terms of being a successful mother, a successful wife, and a successful actor, which is something I think the people are still struggling to do.
Yes.
I certainly, now that I'm wearing all three caps, appreciate that even in my limited exposure to cinema, that it's difficult to manage all three of them. But she did it with great aplomb.
Yes.
So I think that she would have a lot to say, again, also being born in a pre-independence era, and the changes that she's seen, being married into a Nawab family and how that might have impacted her, being related to Rabindranath Tagore. So I would certainly be interested in her biography or autobiography.
And I believe she's suggested that you should write it for her.
She's been telling me for a while that I should write it, but I feel like I'm too close to her. And I don't know if someone would take seriously a biography of someone written by someone's daughter. They want something that's a little more objective, a little more critical perhaps, and someone who can step away. So I don't know. I mean, it's something that we're still exploring. Okay.
Any sort of aristocratic indulgence that you have?
There was a time when I wouldn't get out of bed unless someone had massaged my feet.
Okay.
So I don't know, that is probably I do love massages,
We all do.
We all do. But apparently twice a day is a lot.
Okay.
So I'm told.
Have you changed that?
No.
Oh, that. Okay.
I don't feel the need to.
That's wonderful.
I feel like it's you can squeeze it in, and I can massage my own feet as well, so it's not, I've become quite attuned with non-aristocratic ways, and I can look after myself. But I do feel that I'm very good with money, and my luxury items are things like massages and expensive exotic fruit like kiwis, which cost a lot of money. You should buy fruit that is seasonal. It's also good for you.
It's good for health.
It's good for your health, I know. But I do like kiwis.
Okay. So kiwis.
Yeah.
And any sense of entitlement that you ever had,
I really don't think so. I mean, I would like to think that I haven't exhibited tendencies that show, because I'm very against the whole idea of entitlement. And I think the education that I've had, the schools that I've been to, whether it was the British School in Chanakya, whether it was Oxford, Balliol is very leftist in its philosophy, the London School of Economics, all of these are institutions that have philosophies that believe in individualism and merit and, advancement on the basis of merit and, anti-nepotism, if I'm allowed to use that word, which is obviously the word of 2017. So, these are things that are very important to me.
What's your stand on nepotism? Not in case of...
I opened myself up to that, I think.
Yes. You gave me the perfect chance.
Yeah.
But what is your stand on nepotism in terms of not specific to an industry, in life at large, because there are families everywhere and it brings about a certain sort of way of being.
I think that you're absolutely right in saying that nepotism exists in every industry. The film industry, of course, becomes a soft target. I think, and actors often become soft targets for lots of issues.
Sure.
But I've seen it in banking. I've seen it in every single profession. People go to places like Harvard Business School to make contacts. I feel more than just the degree that they get or what they learn, because it's also about who you know, and that's just a fact of life. But I do feel, whether it's films again or any other profession, nepotism, who you know, your contacts, your relatives, will open up certain doors. But at the end of the day, I don't think that it's trite to say that hard work and talent will take you much further. And we'll see that those doors remain open.
People often, family and friends, often use the words witty, funny, charming to describe you. How do you describe yourself?
I would like to think that I am what you see is what you get. I'm quite on the surface. I am reserved, and I'm friendly, I would like to think. But it is difficult to get to know me. So it's complicated.
Okay.
But I think that I'm a friendly person, but I don't divulge too much of myself.
Being the youngest in the family, you still have the glory of being the peacemaker. What's your biggest diplomatic coup that you've pulled off?
Oh God, there's so many. Often, you see, my mother and my brother are very similar in terms of temperament.
Okay.
They are hot-blooded and somewhat impatient. And so there are often many conversations have ended with each of them, unable to get through to each other. And then they'll call me and say that, this is what I wanted to say, if you can say it. And similarly with my sister as well, and my mother, or my sister and my brother, various permutations, combinations. So I think because I'm the one who I have my father's temperament, I'm very patient and composed, and I don't lose my temper with ease. Only Kunal can make me lose my temper. He has this wonderful gift, to just ruffle my feathers. But I can step away from the situation and look at it objectively. So I think because of that, so whether it's for example, the current situation is doing up Pataudi. And both my brother and my mother are equally passionate about that, because it belongs to both of them. So often when they don't see eye to eye,
yes,
I step into the picture.
Okay. Being the youngest, you mentioned yourself that you're also everyone's favorite, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's fair to say.
Do you get pampered a lot? Who pampers you the most?
We're not actually a family that believe in pampering by giving presents, but it's just, I think it's when somebody looks at you with a certain amount of respect and love, that you have a certain place in their heart. So it's not, we're again not the kind of family who will necessarily plan months in advance for your birthday or show affection through presents and things like that. So, I think that in terms of just the way, for example, if you were there at the launch or if you saw it, I think just the way that everyone spoke about me on stage, I was really touched by, because I know that they were being sincere. It wasn't just a media event. And so things like that, I think just by saying nice things, giving you their time, being there for you in a way, that is a pampering that I'm very happy to be, privileged to.
Speaking of Kunal,
yes,
for both of you being writers, he's written movies and dialogues and scripts. You've written the book. Between the two of you, who would you say is funnier, wittier?
Oh God, I think we have a completely different sense of humor. And like he was saying also on stage the other day, he was saying he fights in Hindi and I fight in English.
Yes.
So his humor is also a little more Indian. His vocabulary is a little more Indian. Mine is sort of that self-deprecating English humor. But he's hysterical and he's very spontaneous. And I would say even his writing is spontaneous.
Okay.
It would take me, for example, about a month to write, a chapter.
Okay.
And he would write a screenplay in literally 7 days. He would have a dream about a film, and he would wake up and he would have dreamt the climax, he would have dreamt the interval, he would have dreamt all the main action points, and then he would just put it down on paper the next morning, and it would take me so much longer to do. So I think different approaches. I think we're both funny in our own way. Different audiences would find me funnier, and different audiences would find him funnier.
So he's like sort of this dream writer breezing through just...
Yeah, he dreams it. I mean, it's only when I'm awake. I mean, my dreams, I don't remember my dreams at all.
He also mentioned that between the two of you, you happen to take a lot longer to admit to your faults. Is that true?
It's true. I won't lie. But the reason that I find it difficult to say that I'm sorry is because, and I genuinely mean it, I'm usually not the one to have wronged in the situation. I feel that, I make a great effort not to offend. I make a great effort I'm quite self-righteous also. I feel like I haven't done anything wrong, so why should I apologize? Whereas there are some people who will just, to make the situation better and to just get over it, to get over a fight, for example, will just say, I'm sorry. But I feel like an apology needs to be sincere and heartfelt. And until I've understood why I'm wrong, or if I'm wrong, I find it difficult to apologize. I do accept that this is a flaw.
Who are your inspirations?
It's again very boring in terms of a reply, but my mother has been a source of inspiration for me, not only again because of her success as an actor, but because I believe that she's able to multitask in a wonderful way. Not just the fact that she makes beautiful floral arrangements, but, as I said, she's been a successful mother, a successful wife, a successful actor, whether it was her work at now her best friends are sort of academics and journalists. She's so clued in as to what is happening in the world. She's very wise.
Yes.
She's able, as a parent also, which is a great source of influence and inspiration for me now with Inaya, she's able to guide without being too dominant. She's able to make her opinion known and to give you advice without being overbearing, which I think is a wonderful quality.
What are we going to see in the future? More of Soha, the actress, or more of Soha, the best-selling author?
Well, I hope both. I mean, I don't know about best-selling or not, but I've really enjoyed the process of writing, and I think I would like to do more. At the moment, it was quite daunting to have written one book, and I want to sort of live with that. It takes me a long time to sort of do that. It took me a long time to do that. It takes me a long time to do anything these days, apart from just be with Inaya. So at the moment, Project Inaya is taking up all of my time, and she's quite demanding. But after that, of course, I'll be doing Sahib Will Be Gangster, the third part, which we're shooting actually starting tomorrow. And they've been kind to accommodate my schedule in Mumbai. So that's nice. And then more work, certainly as an actor. I do want to continue working, and as long as I can do both, I would like to do both.
Thank you, Soha. Wonderful to have you on Expresso, and
thank you.
Here's wishing you all the best for
thank you so much. And
many
thank you
successes.
For reading the book. Thank you.
Not
thank
a pleasure.
You.